And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Krakatoa Final Tribal Council. We're here with Quillen and Jay, our final two of the season. They have both outlasted everybody, but will they outplay and outwit? We're about to find out. So, without further ado, we're going to let Jay do his opening speeches.
Okay. So, I'm thankful I made it to the end. I didn't really ever think I was going to get here. I'm thankful to Logan and Luke and the other hosts, and to all the jury and the pre-jury, and to Quillen, because it wouldn't really have been the same game without all y'all. First of all, I want to start on my original tribe. Nothing really happened on there other than I did form my first alliance, which was with Quillen. She was the first person I really talked to in this game, the first person I really trusted, along with her, and then Chips, Akito, and Kelsey. And 3 of those people made the merge, and 1 of them didn't, rip Akito. But my game hadn't really started at that point, but it did start when we hit the swap, and I was with Dana and Zach, I think. Yeah, I was with Dana and Zach. And I aligned closer to them than I was with anyone else in the game prior, except for Kelsey. Kelsey was always my number 1 ally. She was always the person I wanted to go to the end with. So I was closer with Dana and Zach to that point. And I think my relationship with Zach was one of the ones that really brought me to this point in the game. So onto the merge. It was really, really obvious because Liana had just left and Willa and all these people I thought I could have a relationship with once we hit the merge, that there was the big 5 of Trixie, Quillen, Dana, Zach, and Trixie. And I kind of wanted to make myself an alternate to that, so I did talk to Chips. I talked to Kelsey and Brian about, we need to do something about this 5. We need to break them up somehow. And luckily for us, it kind of just happened. Especially for me, I kind of just accepted to go through all these games that they were playing, like the rock draw, and just whatever fights they had. But I did, on that night of the fateful rock draw where Nicholas left, I did ask Kelsey if she would switch her vote to Bryce, so Bryce would just leave and we didn't have to do rock draw. And she did do it. She did do what I asked, but the vote steal screwed that up and went to rocks anyways. Following that and the Chris vote, there were fractures in that 5-person alliance that kind of came to the forefront. I would play both sides. I would play with Dana. I would play with Quillen and Trixie. I'd play with Zach. Most of the time I was playing with Zach as I trusted him the most out of the 4. But at that point, I had made a really, really good connection with Brian, even after I voted him out at the first merge vote. Me and him, I felt like kind of played this game together after the merge, so we could break up the pre-made 5. And I know all y'all are like, why did you take Quillen? I have a lot of reasons why I took Quillen. I know it's being asked, so I won't elaborate on it here. But no, I have lots of reasons why, and it wasn't just some stupid decision I made up like that. I'm like, Quillen. No, I thought about it all day. So that's it. I'm not great at speaking, as you can tell, but that's that. We're good.
All right, Quillen, take it away.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I just want to start off by saying that I never played a game where I loved every single member of the jury as much as I do in this game. And as cracked and wild as it is, I still enjoyed playing with each of you. And I could have never asked for a better cast to share this experience with. I want to address like the main thing that's probably on everybody's mind, and that's that I won last season. So I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, like, why should we let her win again? But I think I fucking earned this win. From the beginning of this game, I was put in a very dangerous position. I was the only member of like my friend group, as Jay said, like Nicholas, Dana, Zach, Trixie. I was the only one of us that was on the Heroes tribe. And I had just won the last season, so everyone knew I was a threat. And even going through all that, I managed to not only survive every tribal council I went to, but I never even received a single vote against me throughout this entire game. I believe that my game truly speaks for itself, and the fact that I managed to get to the end and convince someone to take me despite it not being their best option shows that my strategic and social games were unparalleled throughout this season. I think that's all I have to say for now, but I'm excited to get to the questions.
Alrighty, now that y'all have said your words, Zach is going to join. So he'll be here in just a moment. He'll be kicked after he's done asking his questions, and y'all are done answering. Let's find Zachary now. Where'd he go? There he is. All right. So as soon as he joins, we will let him take the floor.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Here he is. All right.
Can y'all
So
hear me?
Yes.
yes. So Zach,
Okay.
take it away.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that first of all, I'm not the earliest jury member. I was being put here because other people don't want to go first. And secondly, like obviously congrats to you both. You made it to final two, and that's ecstatic. It's honestly an achievement despite what this game threw at y'all's rocks, idols, swaps, etc. So just good job. Well, generally, I'm going to vote based on who I think had the best overall, like, competitive, strategic, and social game. And my question is really generic, but it's to both of you. I want you both to pinpoint, like, one move that you made entirely by yourself, or it could be a move that, like, you just had a significant impact on that helped put you in the final two, opposed to on the jury, like myself. So just either one of you can go first.
Quillen, do you want me to go first or you?
You can go first if you want to.
Okay. I think my biggest move, I don't really make a lot of flashy moves in games. I don't really think that's necessary. I think it would just hurt my game more if I did make bigger, flashy moves. But I think the best thing I did in this game was kind of set myself up as an alternative to the group of five. I did set up myself that way with Chris and with Kelsey and eventually with Brian, that if you don't want to go with the pre-made, you need to go with me. And you know what, Kelsey did that, and Kelsey was gonna screw up the rocks until you fixed it again with the vote steal. Chips was always on my side. Chips would always do what I said. Like come to merge, especially, even though he voted out Aikido, but that's a million years ago. And Brian, who I formed a very close relationship with after the merge, and we made I made most of my moves with Brian's like in consideration to play with, because at that point he was one of my only allies that I could 100% trust to get to the end. Also, I did feel like I kind of tried to play both sides of the 5. I had my alliances with Dana and Zach, and I had alliances with Trixie and Quillen. I didn't have any alliances with Nicholas, but he wasn't here for too long. But I feel like that's what I did the best in the game. Thank you. That's it.
Do you want me to go? Okay. Well, what I think was like one move that was like really solely just me. It might have actually not even been like that necessary and was probably just me being paranoid. But because of how cracked that our friend group was playing and like having gone to rocks, I was really worried at the Trixie vote. Because I had been playing since like literally the start of this game, being alone on the heroes tribe with all of you on villains. I was like really trying to stick around, so I didn't want to just get like robbed out of the game. So at the Trixie vote, everyone was telling me, "Oh, we're gonna get a unanimous vote on Trixie," and I also knew Brian had an idol, so in my head, I was really worried that you were just lying to me and you would want all the votes on Trixie, but then get Brian to idol, and I would have looked like a fool and got voted out on one vote. And like maybe that actually wasn't going to happen, but just to be safe, I did lie and I told all of you that I voted Brian. Then I went to Brian and I told him that you guys were planning on getting him to idol Trixie just so that he would be voted out on one vote, even though like that wasn't what was planned at all. It was just something I wanted to do for my own protection and to make sure that the idol wouldn't have been played and that Trixie actually went home on that vote. And that's it.
Thank you. Zach, do you have anything else to say?
Thank you both for answering. I'll be listening, and thank you, Logan, for casting me. I really enjoyed this experience.
Thanks for playing. I'm gonna kick you now. Adios.
Adios.
All right, now we're gonna add Trixie. So go do that real quick. Where did she go? There she is. All right, we're gonna wait for her to get here.
Are we doing the people who asked our questions in text form at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Trixie.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Ugly.
Take it away, Trixie.
Hi, Logan, and hi to the finalists of Krakatoa. It has been a really cracked season. Overall, I'm really happy with how everything went out, or the season went down. It's been really fun. So I have a few questions here for both Jay and Quill. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so Jay, in your opening speech, you kind of touched on this. You said that I guess people have been asking you like why you took Quill over Brian, and you said you would elaborate, but you didn't really say any specifics. Like you just said that you had a lot of reasons why. So I just wanted.
Yeah, that's why, because I knew I was going to get a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, sure. So I just want, if you have some time right now to like clarify just any kind of like specific reason or reasoning, and what factored into you taking Quill over Brian.
So I promised Brian and I promised Quillen I would take them to the end if I won. And in my mind, I felt like it was the only real option to take Quillen because I felt Brian played a better game than I think everyone else in the entire game. And to all the people who are saying I made the wrong decision, even the Quillen saying I made the wrong decision, I feel like I made the right decision in getting rid of Brian because he played the best game. and I knew either way I had an uphill battle to win, and I felt like I would the hill was a little smaller with Quillen than with Brian. Also, I felt like if you stripped away the 4 votes that Quillen could get based on previous relationships, that me and her played, I felt like more of an even game than I played with Brian. So I felt like if people looked at that and took away the friendships, which I mean, I'm not expecting you to, but that would be more comparable. So I'd have an easier time beating Quillen than Brian. Also, I knew Quillen earlier in the game said she wanted to quit. I don't know how true that is, but that's just another thing that was in my mind. And that I did try to play with everyone. I thought there were only like, a few people I didn't really have too big of a bonds with, but I knew there was at least one person I would get their vote from, I think. And I felt like maybe I could get some of the people who were in Quillen's like best friend group to vote for me.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. Awesome. So I have just one more question for you, Jay.
Okay.
So during the Dana vote, that really messy, awful Dana vote,
Yep.
I approached you and basically it was kind of like, hey, do you want to like vote a Dana? Like, and I know that you said in your opening speech that you were working with Dana and Zar. And so when I approached you with that, I felt like you didn't really believe me, which obviously was understandable, knowing that like I am friends with them and like one's my literal brother.
Yeah.
But I was trying to reach out to you and prove that I didn't want to work with the pre-made of 5.
Yeah.
Everybody like would have, obviously. So even after the vote results, there was always this distrust between us, and like I just want to know, why do you think that was? We couldn't really, connect.
I always felt like there was a big distrust between you and I from the original Chips vote, even though you were being correct. You were correct in what you were telling me, and I should have believed you. At that point, I hadn't played with you really. I had only played with Dana, so I had more of more trust built with Dana, so I had believed Dana over you. And until like things Dana kept telling me would never happen, until then I was like, oh well, Dana needs to go. I need to reconnect with Trixie, and that's what happened when we voted out Dana, because she would keep telling me things that didn't happen.
Okay. Yeah, it's like completely understandable given the last time we played together was Furbygate, and
I wasn't even in the game at that point.
it's true, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's it for Jay. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to Quill. Um,
Hi.
Hi. So you kind of said this in your opening. I just want you to touch up on that as well. I just want to know like what played into like what you took into consideration and how you managed to dodge having a single vote. Like you didn't have a single vote this season. So I just want to know how you dodged that. And considering that everybody knew you had a friend group on the other side and that you had won the previous season.
Okay. I think it's like pretty simple to explain. I mean, I was really, really worried at first because of it, but I also was underestimating my social game because I felt really kind of out of my element seeing like pretty much all my friends on the villains tribe and me alone on heroes. So I kind of like got in my own head, I feel, and was like, oh, like I'm gonna be first boot, this is gonna be so hard, and didn't really think about how like I've made friends in past games before, like just because the people that I'm comfortable with playing with aren't on my tribe doesn't mean that I can't make new social bonds. And that's what I did. Like there were people I have played before that I was on the Heroes tribe with, and I was able to like reconnect with them really easily. I made new bonds really fast. I got to know a lot of people like Christian. I never met Christian before and like loved her after this game. Um, Brian, obviously, I never met before, but I got really close with Brian. Bryce, I got really close with Bryce. Like I just, I think was able to just talk to people and make new friends, and people did trust me, and they kind of went with that over the fact that I had won before. Like that wasn't really a factor anymore because I kind of showed them that I was somebody they could talk to and I was somebody that they could trust.
Okay. I don't like. I've just been making up these questions on the fly, and I asked Jay 2 questions. So, oh, Logan left. Okay. I'll just ask you, or should I wait for him? Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So I asked Jay 2 questions. I'll ask you another question too, just even it up. So I guess in your opinion, what makes you deserve the win over Jay? Like how was your game better than his?
Well, I think Jay played a great game too. I'm not like gonna like try to knock him down at all. But I believe that I have played a better game because I was literally fighting this whole time to stay in the game. And I have, like I mentioned before, like I had to like work on making new social connections, and I had to make new friendships to get me through this game. And then the whole mess happened where we went to rocks, and it was like a really dark place in this game for a bit, but I still think that even through all that, um, I managed to play really well. And although like I was low for a minute, like I was able to like get my head back up, um, and really put myself in a position where I was like, if this is how you want to win, this is how you're going to do it, and helps get all of my friend group out. Um, and like, granted, that was going to be a little bit easier because you were all willing to go home, it seemed. So you guys were all more willing to leave than I was, even though I, was claiming to want to go home. I did still want to be here. So I think that I just really played like a genuinely good game. I did win last season, and I think this season I played far better than what I managed to do then. So I believe that I earned this win.
Okay. That's it for me. The attention can't be on me forever, I guess, so I gotta leave. And before I do, I just want to say thank you both for answering the questions. You both absolutely deserve to be here in the final two. And I want to make it very, very evident that I am going to be voting tonight based on gameplay, social game, all that good stuff. It's not at all based on friendship. And yeah, all right. Good luck, guys.
Bye, Trixie.
Bye.
Thanks, Trixie.
Bye.
Oh, she left before I could eject her. All right, it's Bryce's turn. We're saving the best for last.
Kelsey?
He has gone MIA.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Not shocked.
My vote. Uh-oh.
She'll have till tomorrow to vote.
Let me look
Till
Kelsey.
tomorrow.
Copy. And I'm inviting Bryce now. Wilder, can you please stop? And he was invited.
Wig?
My hair's drying. It looks great.
Wig.
Not a wig, my real hair.
Mine's a wig. There he is.
All right. You
Hello.
have the floor, Bryce.
Hi guys. Congrats.
Hi.
I have questions. I'll ask Jay, you first. What was your favorite moment in the game?
What was my favorite moment in the game?
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment was, I mean, it's not necessarily just like a moment, but like becoming friends with Brian. I felt like me and Brian hit it off really well, especially after Chips left. And going through the entire game with Brian until the end. And when I voted him out was honestly like a really fun journey for me because I felt like Brian was super nice, but I also knew he was playing the best game. That's how it ended. But also doing the challenge with him with holding the thing up, that was really fun. Yeah, I think that was the best part of the game for me because it's very hard nowadays to play a game with people that like I don't know, because a lot of times I know everyone in the game and finding someone to align with that I had never talked to previously was really fun and really fulfilling for me.
OMG, okay, that's so cute. I love it. Also, w- um, this has a very minimal sway on my vote, but what's your favorite Lana Del Rey album?
I don't know her albums, but let me see.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
no,
You know,
I've listened to her. I just need to look up her album.
that's a good answer too.
I think
And
Born to Die is one of her albums, right? I think that's the one I
wait,
heard.
what?
Born to Die is one of her albums. That's the
Yes,
one I've heard the most. I think
Yeah.
that's the one everyone's heard the most, but that's what it's gonna be.
Okay. And lastly, why I feel like in this game we never talked, which is like
Yeah, we really
my
did.
fault too. But
Yeah.
like, you think we never talked?
Why do I think we never talked? I feel like that's just kind of something that was a byproduct from the original tribes. We didn't really talk then. And it kind of just festered until the merge, and we didn't really talk through the merge. I think that's why, because we hadn't talked previously, and it was maybe just hard for us both to kind of get in the groove. Also, I knew you were very close with Dana and Zach's side of things, and I knew I wouldn't be able to maybe sway you as well as some other people might have been able to, and we just didn't have any real conversations. And I mean, that's my fault too, but I feel like it's more my fault. But
Oh no, it was both of us.
that's just how it goes sometimes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions for you. And then Quillen, I wanted to know what your favorite moment in the game was too.
My favorite moment was getting to vote out Trixie finally and getting to be one of the votes that sent her home. That was great. My least favorite moment was that messy Dana vote, the one that didn't work out. But yeah, I genuinely had a great time throughout this entire game, and I'm so happy that I played it.
Yay, happy to hear. And then, do you have a favorite Lana Del Rey album?
Okay, I know a lot of people don't like Lust for Life, but I actually really do. And maybe it's just because it's her newest one, and that's why I'm like, oh, I love it. Because I'm not like entirely sick of it yet. But like right now, I'm gonna go with Lust for Life.
Okay, that's the same. I love it as well. I love all her
Okay.
albums. So like, you both slayed the question. Good job. And then my last question, because I had three. W- um, which? Wait. Oh, my question was during pre-swap, like during the original Heroes try.
Mhm.
How do you? How did like the Aikido vote go down for you? Like, how did you? Because you voted Aikido, correct? Or no, you voted
No.
Christian, right?
Yeah, I voted out Christian.
So if we didn't
Oh.
swap, what did you think? What were your plans to like from voting in the minority?
I actually wanted to stick with Heroes over my friend group. No offense to them. But I wanted like us to stick together, and then come the swap, I still would have wanted to stick with you. You were my number one, except I was worried. I'll admit that you were the one that flipped. I thought you voted out Aikido.
Drama.
So there was a bit of me that was a little worried, but I still was like, I'm gonna trust Bryce. I'm still gonna trust Bryce.
Ooh, okay. Thanks for answering the question, both of you. Thanks, Logan, for hosting a great game. Luke, you're awesome too. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Legend.
Bye.
Thanks, Bryce.
I didn't know you voted to keep a keto.
Yeah, I did.
I thought I was just lying. They were like, "Oh, I didn't keep him," because I'm like, I kept him. I'm like, I don't know who else did. Because Chips was like, I didn't. And I'm like, oh, I thought Chips was like the only person who did. I'm like, oh no, what happened?
No, I wanted to keep the keto.
And here comes Brian. I'm gonna warn y'all, he's probably still a little fired.
I'm scared and I'm not even being questioned.
Really nervous.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
Hi,
Take
Brian.
it away.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask some questions first, and then I'm going to say some statements just because I don't want to change how you're going to answer these questions based on what I say. So my first question for both of you is, who do you think the best player in this game was and why? Like, I've already been listening and Jay already said my name, but like, who do you think the best player in this game was and why? Because I want to see what your understanding of the game was and if you understood what was going on in the game.
I can answer you right. It's not like except you. Okay, so it is Brian. Brian's the best player of the game. Of the game, I feel like he played the best social game out of everyone. He was able to be like both on the side of the five friendship and also going against them at a lot of points in the game. So that's why I think Brian was the best, because he played the best social game. He won challenges. He got people to give him the necklace. He was just all around a social and just a nice person to play the game with. So, and I mean, if he was here and I was on the jury, I'd vote him to win.
Did I just freeze?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, I'd vote Brian to win over everyone. So.
Okay, Quill.
Well, I love you, Brian, and I would say that you are the best player in this game, but I think it was actually me. Not to sound like narcissistic, but I mean,
Whatever, Quill.
but I am, and so I do think I was the best player. I agree that Brian was extremely likable. And a lot of people wanted to go really far in this game with Brian, but when it comes down to it, like, to be the best player, I think you have to be one of the two people, or three, but in this case, two, that do make it to the end. And Jay made the choice to bring me because of my pitch to him, which I feel puts me as a better player in this particular game. In terms of who's going to win pots, I believe Brian.
Okay. And then next question is, what do you think the best move in this game was? And it necessarily doesn't have to come from the best player in your mind, but who do you think, like, what do you think the best move in this whole game was?
I think Dana leaving was the best and biggest move of the game, because in my mind, Dana was kind of the head of the five, which, I mean, that's just in my opinion, that's just how I saw things, that Dana was kind of the number one part of that. And then Zach was kind of like making a lot of like the big moves, like just for flashiness, just for fun. But I think Dana leaving was the biggest move, in that it kind of was the symbol of that form at that point, because Nicholas was gone. It was kind of broken, and that the game was kind of open for everyone else. Like, play solo.
And Quill?
I think the best move, and this is like a little bit like personally too for me, why I feel like it was the best move, but it was when we all went to Rocks for the first like juror placement vote. And it was because like there was a lot of tension in the game up until that point, and it really was like a refreshing moment. Like, Brian, I went on call with you, you know, I thought like how down I was like at that moment. So like whenever that happened, it was like, it felt like kind of like a reawakening in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like this is kind of like putting the game back on track. So I feel like that was the most important move anyway in the game, and I find it to be the best.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm just going to make some statements of my own here. And so, Jay.
Hello.
Oh, wait. Okay, I made like a document to lift out this stuff that I wanted to say so I didn't forget it.
Big mood. Brian,
merge.
I didn't
You
hear.
really wanted to get out this 5 bands.
Brian, you kind of cut out at the beginning.
You said you made out this 5-friend group pre-made, as you called it.
Okay.
Yeah, actions kind of just makes me really think about or setting that or like putting personal stuff in front of it. That to me was right after Chips was voted out, and it was 5-4, and or even before that, while I was on call with you after the tie, I tried talking to you. I was like, okay, Jay, this 5-person alliance is like actually a really major threat. What would you say about making an alliance of everyone else out of it? Me, you, Chips, Kelsey, and Bryce. And I'm okay with all these people except for Bryce. Yeah, but literally, if we don't align with Bryce, Chips goes out, we're going to be outnumbered 5-4. Like, think of it. And I just thought that was really stupid of you to do. And then even after thinking about going rocks, and you told Kelsey to switch her vote to Bryce, numbered 5-3. Really not a smart thing to do, I thought. And just personally, you wanted to get out of, like you said, you didn't really talk to him. And also, your lack of a social game, it was a struggle for me to just try and have a conversation with you pre-merge. I just felt like I kept on getting blown off by you. You made an alliance with you, Chips, Kelsey, and Quillen, and somebody else. Weren't talking to Bryce. You can't just not talk to these people. You need to make sure you keep up a social game with them. That's part of the game of Survivor. Then you did make a deal with me while during the competition of the holding up the water bottle, and we were there for a really long time, and Quillen wasn't even there. Was really offended by that. And again, you said you wanted to take out this 5. Yeah, you wanted to. So that's my opinion on it. Quillen, your turn.
Yay.
Quillen, do you think you deserve to be in the final 2 spot? You were barely active for these last couple of weeks, and I know you said you were with your family, but that you were inactive. Final 3 competition, you barely participated in the final half competition, and you were with your family, but you still weren't there. You don't deserve to be there. That's my take on it. Thank you, guys. It was fun playing. I feel like this was definitely one of my best. So thank you, Logan. You can eject me now.
Thank you, Brian. All right, if y'all want to say any closing statements after all that. Oh, we have to do the people who type their questions, correct? Okay. So let me find everybody's host chat. Nicholas first. Okay, so Nicholas asked, Jay, I don't mean this to sound condescending at all, but why would you bring Quill to Final 2 knowing her pre-made made up the majority on jury? I just want to see the logic behind it, thanks. And this will be the only time I'm going to make you answer this question because I know pretty much all 3 of them who asked questions beforehand,
Well, I'm going to answer Dana's question.
Okay. Yikes. So yeah, go for it.
Let me just find the answer I gave you. I just can't find our chat.
Do you want me to bump it?
I found it.
Okay.
Okay. So what I have is I said the first part of my decision was that Brian played, I think, the strongest game this season, and I don't think me or Quillen could win against him. The second part is I think that her pre-made would just. I don't think her pre-made would decide to win entirely based on their friendship. I really don't think they have their minds made to vote Quill. I think, however, everyone's mind was set to vote Brian. That's what I had for Nicholas.
All right, and Nicholas asked Quill. What do you think was your strongest move or decision you had to make in this game, and how did it get you to Final 2?
Okay, so I'm just gonna like read what I said too. He said, I believe I made a lot of very strong moves for my game. I mean, I stand behind literally every vote that I casted. I think the smartest thing I did was voting out Bryce. Although he was my number one in this game from very early on, I knew that he was going to win no matter what at the end, so I made sure that I took a shot at him at the exact right time, as much as it hurt me to do. The strongest move that got me to the end of this game, though, was obviously convincing Jay that he would beat me hands down if he took me to the end. I do believe that the jury isn't going to vote on friendships outside of this game, but I also know that they will be able to see that as much as I downplayed it. I played an impeccable game. I got to the end with no votes against me, was secure with everyone socially, and wasn't afraid to vote out my friends to get me further.
Just gonna say I wasn't convinced, but okay.
Okay. Trixie already came on and did her questioning, but she essentially asked, let me find Trixie's host chat. She asked, okay, so I'll read her statement. And so this game we didn't really click. What little we did talk was super frustrating, and I was looking forward to working with you instead of against, but let's not talk about Bouvet. For the first time, but it just didn't happen. I feel like there was always this distrust between us, and it made things very difficult, even when I tried to prove that I didn't want to work with my friend group. I'm sure many people have asked you this question because we are on the jury are super confused. Why would you decide to take Quill over Brian? I realize you may think that you would have lost either way, but you're going to have to really sell it at the end if you want this win, considering Quill's relationship with the jury and how well she played throughout the game. I want to make it very evident that I'm not basing my vote off friendship. I actively went against my friend group in this game, so please understand that. But if I was in your position and I was taking Quill to the end, I'd always keep in mind that people might vote based on entirely on friendship alone. I just want an explanation as to how this final 3 went down and what was going on through your head. Second question, can you say what Pokemon I'd be and why? Thanks, Jay.
I'm just gonna read the entire thing I put. Okay. Even though it's redundant at this point. I took Brian because he played better than both Quillen and me, so I figured that my better shot was against Quillen because I feel like our games were more evenly matched. Obviously, Quillen had a better relationship with you, Dana, Zachary, and Nicholas, and there's absolutely nothing I could do in this game to make my relationships with that force better than Quillen's relationships with them. But it's not like I didn't have a friendship with you, Dana, Zachary, and Nicholas, and also with the other members of the jury. So I felt that your pre-game friendship with Quillen would play less of a factor in your decision than Brian's gameplay within the game would. I also said I think Trixie would be a Teddy Ursa because she has the unique ability to play innocent but still be ferocious.
All right, and to Quillen, she said, say some bad things about the jury, except me. Say only nice things about me.
Okay, so I said, Nicholas, if you walked in late to a movie theater with a backpack on, I'd run. Kelsey, I'm surprised you finally didn't strike out of a game. There really is a first time for everything. Dana, your lizard hates you and I feel bad for it. Trixie, I love that you're still sticking with this Furby thing. Your determination to try and make it funny is admirable. Zach, you talk big about how you're cutthroat in games, but it doesn't seem like you know how to take it when things don't go your way. Bryce, Zizo should have won Namibia. And Brian, I'm targeting you first on All-Stars. I think that's all of them.
Oh, and also, how did you get Jay to take you to the end?
Oh. Yeah, I'm just going to read this too. So I said, okay, convincing Jay to take me to the end was easier than I thought it would be. I really do love Jay. I think he's great, so it was easy to go through this game talking to him and feeling as though to a degree I could trust him. When it came down to it, I knew because of timing conflicts with my real life, I wasn't going to be active in the last few rounds because I have been away from my family for 2 years and haven't seen them. So this is my first time getting to see them in 2 years. So I did prioritize that over the game in the last few rounds. And that I couldn't compete in the final immunity challenge. So I started by publicly offering a deal to both Brian and Jay that I would sit out if they both agreed to take me to final 2. Neither of them seemed to be biting. So I added in that if I was cut, I would vote against whoever cut me and do my best to convince the jury to vote the same as me. Brian high-key roasted me after that, and Jay didn't really respond, so I decided to take things to PMs where I convinced Jay that I would lose to him because I had already won, that none of my friends on jury would vote for me, whether it be because of spite, pettiness, bitterness, or just because they would want to see a new winner. But if he was against Brian at the end, then he would no longer have all these factors working in his favor, and that he would lose for sure. Jay listened to what I had to say, and because of the strong social connection I had built with him, he believed everything I said, even though I definitely didn't. I stayed calm, made sure not to push too hard, let him know that if roles were reversed, I would have taken him even though I knew I would have lost. In quotes. And in the end, he did choose to trust me. And with all that being said, I also do want to acknowledge that I know Jay wasn't full. It wasn't like I'm puppet mastering Jay into taking me. He has his own mind and his own opinions as well.
All right.
Is that convincing?
All right, thank you. Now I'm going to read Dana's statement. It's long. I'm probably going to stutter a lot. And it's she extra. So, Jay, you know I love you. However, I think taking Quillen here was a big mistake. My vote tonight is likely going to Quillen, not because he's my friend, but because of course you are too. Yet I want to give you a brief explanation and give you the opportunity to flesh out your game for the other jurors. One thing I really value at Final Tribal Council, when you are in the position of power to do so, is taking someone who gives you your best chance to win, whether you think you had a good chance of winning the game or not. It is why I didn't vote for Quillen and Unova, and why I will likely vote for him here. Taking the person who gives you your best chance matters to me as a juror because it shows me you want to win and have put extensive thought into doing so. From my perspective as a juror, taking Quillen looks like a mistake. Quillen not only has a pre-made of 4 close friend on the jury, but as a result was a threat to win. You had the opportunity to take him out, but his ability to stay not only reflects his strong gameplay, but makes me question yours. I understand people shouldn't vote for their friends to win just because of friendship. I consider that each time I vote as a juror, but you almost have to assume in your position that not all jurors may take that principle as seriously and still vote for their friend based on friendship alone. So from you, Jay, I'd like to know why taking Quillen wasn't a mistake and gave you your best chance of winning, and how you plan to beat him at this final tribal council. From Quillen, I'd like to know what strategies you implemented to convince your tribe mates at both the Bryce and Brian vote that keeping you was in their best interest. Love you both and congrats.
Okay. I don't have anything written for this one. This is just coming from the heart. I really wish Dana was here so I could throw it back to her and ask her if she really believes that Quillen was a bigger threat than Brian to win, because I don't think that is true in the slightest. I think I made the best of a kind of a bad situation where I had 2 people that played very good games, and I just felt Brian played a better game, and I do not see that I made the bad decision by taking Quillen when Brian would, I assume, from everything I've seen in this entire game, Brian would also beat Quillen. So what I had to do, and I do not think I was convinced to take Quillen, because if you watch, I don't know if this was after or before, but if you watch the final immunity challenge and Brian was trying to make a deal with me, I was a little bit hesitant because I didn't want to break the promise with Brian, but I knew that for a long time in this game that Brian was playing the best game, period. I really just don't think that Quillen played a better game than Brian. I mean, I'm saying this over and over again, but that's just how I felt. That's what I believe. I believe I played a strong game that is at least equal to Quillen at this, because at this point I know that a lot of you don't really care about what I have to say right now, but I know that I think I played at least an equal game to Quillen. And that's why I brought her, despite the friendship she had, that I cannot control those friendships. I could never be a better friend to Dana, to Trixie, or whoever than Quillen is to them. So if that's how you're all going to vote, that's how you're all going to vote. There's nothing I can do about it.
All right, and thank you, Jay. And Quillen, do you need me to repeat the question, or do you got it?
No, it's fine. I'll just read what I said. So I wrote, at the Bryce vote, my plea was pretty simple. As much as I love Bryce, I knew he was going to win 100% if he made it to the end. And he is just as much close to the jury members as I was, but with the bonus for him of not being in the actual pre-made, therefore making it a lot easier for the jury to vote for him, partially out of friendship, if he were to make it to the end. I brought up the fact to both Jay and Brian that Bryce had friends on the jury and that this would be our last chance to take him out. I was basically telling them to vote him out now or he wins the entire game, which I think was a very good possibility. For the Brian vote, I was trying to convince both Jay and Brian to keep me if they won final immunity, and I honestly don't think Brian would have kept me. He was very aware this whole game, and I think knew his best shot at the end was with Jay, but luckily Jay won the final immunity, and I think I did a good job of convincing Jay of the opposite of what really was the situation. I told him that Brian would beat him 100%, which he also believed. But with me and him, it would be up in the air, and with me more likely to lose. When in reality, I believe I played a great game, and that Jay might have had actually a better shot against Brian in the end over me. And I think the fact that I did convince him to take me to the end is proof of how well I played. And he can say too, like, again, I'm not trying to like discredit Jay at all, but he can say that like I didn't do any convincing. He had his mind all made up. But if that was the case, then I wouldn't have felt worried. I wouldn't have had to like talk to you about it, and I don't think that he would have had to take time to think about the decision he was going to make like he told me to do. So to what degree maybe I'm wrong on exactly how much I was able to convince Jay to make the decision, but there's no doubt in my mind that there was some influence from what I said. That's all from me.
All right, thank you guys. That does in fact conclude our questioning. At this point, if you have any closing statements that you'd like to say, we can do that. If not, the voting period begins now for those of you in the jury. Once you vote past this point, you may not change your vote. If you had voted previously, you may change your vote once. Votes are due tomorrow at 9 p.m. If we get all the votes in before then, we will do winner reveal then. If not, then we will do it at 9 p.m. because I don't need the finalists to be on call for that, as I imagine it's a very busy Christmas Eve for both of you. Well, at least Dylan. Forgetting something here. So yeah, if you guys have any closing statements, go for it.
Okay. I do want to thank everyone for their questions, even if a lot of them were, why did you take Quillen to the end? But at least I got the chance to adequately explain my entire reasoning for doing so. I don't think Quillen completely convinced me to take her over Brian. I mean, obviously I wanted to hear her out. I wanted to hear Brian out, and I did make my decisions according, like, they told me things, and I listened, and that doesn't change the fact that even before the final three, I knew that Brian was playing a very, very strong game, and that not to take away from Quillen, but she was playing a lesser game to Brian. So I needed to take Quillen, and the big reason I did take the time to make a decision was because I did promise them both I would take them. And it was very difficult for me to break the promise with Brian because I did feel like we played the entire second half of this game together. And I didn't want to just make that decision lightly and make it immediately. I wanted to take the time to think about it and make sure my decision was the best I could make. Before that, I do feel like I played a very strong game from at least the swap on. At the beginning of the game, I did vote in the minority, but I feel like from the swap on, I did at least play a strong game. I made my allies with Dana and Zach and Quillin, and once we hit, and Kelsey was on my swap tribe too, and Chips. And once we hit the merge, I aligned with Trixie a little bit, and I made my alliance with Brian, like my partnership with Brian, and I feel like that was strong gameplay for me to play the social game, even if I didn't play the social game with everyone. Sorry, Bryce, but with the people I did play with, I do feel like I had the social and strategic chops to make it to where I'm sitting. And I know Brian was talking about like, oh, a lot of what you said was contradictory. You wanted to get rid of the 5, but you also kept the 5. When it was Dana versus Chips, I trusted Dana wholeheartedly at that point, and once it tied, I was like very, very skeptical of Dana, and I did want Dana out. But before the votes were locked in, Quillin and Trixie decided that they were gonna keep Dana over Chips, and then at that point my heads were tied, and there was nothing I could do because I could vote out Chips. Or I could vote out Dana, but she would still stay, and Chips would still leave. And when I obviously brought Quill into the end, I was also keeping part of the 5, but you already know my reasoning for that. And I feel like the other big move I made was helping get rid of Dana, who I felt like it was kind of an adversary for me since the merge on, because she would always tell me I am lies and then tell me that they were true, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But that's it. I'm done.
All right, thank you, Jay.
I just want to thank everyone as well. I had a great time playing with everyone. I want to thank the hosts, Logan, Luke, and everyone. It was just a lot of fun. And I believe that you should vote for me if you're on jury, because I have been playing this game since the very beginning, alone on my tribe, fighting against the pre-made people that knew that I was in this friend group on my tribe, not targeting me, and I did get here to the end. 0 votes cast against me. And I believe that my social game was just as good as well. I've made a lot of new friends. I was working with a lot of people at different points in the game. I love Kelsey. I got really close with Kelsey. Brian, Bryce, like all people that I wasn't really like good friends with before this game. I feel like afterwards leaving, they're people that I'm definitely going to continue talking with, and Jay as well. We didn't talk a lot before this game, but no matter what happens, I love this cast and I've loved this game. So thank you.
All right, thank you guys for both showing up. As I said before, jury, now is the time to vote. So after, if you already voted, you may change it, but if you vote after this point, you may not change your vote. So once we have all the votes, we'll do winner reveal. It's very likely that we won't know if we're going to have all the votes until 9 p.m. tomorrow.
Kelsey, come back.
So thank you guys for showing up. Good luck to the both of you. I think you both slayed Final Tribal Council. I'm going to release SAS Awards tonight. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys.